We finally have official information about the Switch 2, including the official release date and a selection of new and updated games for the console. I'm going to go through everything that was announced today and see if we're in for a good generation or another Wii U situation. If you're looking forward to the new Switch 2, leave a like and comment what you're most looking forward to. We're close to 400 subscribers, so remember to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos if you haven't already. So, the release date is going to be on June the 5th this year, with pre-orders being opened on the 8th of April, which is next Tuesday, and that's going to be on the official Nintendo store and selected retailers. In the UK, it's priced at $395.99 for the console only, and $429.99 for an edition bundled with a digital copy of Mario Kart World, which we'll be talking about more later in the video. In America, these are priced at $449 and $499. I'd recommend checking out your local version of the Nintendo Store website to see what the prices are like where you live. Now this might be the most controversial part of the launch. The console is launching at a price that is a lot higher than the Switch 1 was. Of course you can attribute this to economics and the current state of the industry, but it's priced really similarly to the PS5 and Xbox Series X, which are probably far more powerful consoles. And it only gets worse. The prices of the games themselves are increasing as well. And the worst thing is that physical games are now going to cost more than the digital versions. Mario Kart World is £75 physically. That's just insane pricing. I suppose that makes getting the console bundle a much better deal in retrospect. It's probably the most disappointing part of the whole presentation, to be honest. Not only did they fail to release the price or pre-order information in the actual presentation, and only did so on their website after it ended. But to jack the prices up so extremely is very disappointing to see, and we'll also have to see how they react if the sales plummet in comparison to the first Switch. On the positive side, the release date is very handy for the holiday period, since they'll be able to restock before it likely becomes one of the top Christmas gifts this year. As for the actual hardware of the console, the screen whilst undocked has been upgraded to a 1080p LED display, featuring HDR whilst also supporting 120Hz refresh rate for 120fps in games. That's a huge upgrade over the original Switch, which has a measly 720p native display. There was no news on a potential OLED version, so I'd expect that to be another mid-life cycle refresh like with the original console. The new Joy-Cons are simply called the Joy-Con 2. Like we already knew, the controllers are connected to the console magnetically. I think the most interesting new update they've made is the mouse mode, which interests me in how they're going to integrate that into future games on the platform. To demonstrate this, there was a short gameplay video for a new game called Drag X Drive. There was essentially Rocket League basketball using the mouse for the controls, and you controlled the wheelchairs. It looks pretty cool. Other improvements to the Joy-Con 2s include improved speakers and a built-in microphone for voice chat. There was no mention of improvements to the joysticks outside of them being able to move more smoothly than before with reduced noise, and that they made them a bit bigger, which really concerns me after the whole stick drift fiasco of the last ones. I'd like to imagine that they're smart enough to have fixed this, and I've thought that they would have done that and used it as a marketing point after the wide-scale issues with the original ones. The mysterious C button has been revealed to control game chat, which is basically Discord but made by Nintendo. The UI for it is literally pretty much a one-to-one copy of Discord as well. It's kind of crazy how they've literally copy and pasted it. You can use the built-in microphone to talk to others, as well as the new camera accessory being sold separately, and this is also being integrated into certain games too. The example that they showed was an updated version of Mario Party Jamboree, where you can see the use of the camera to put yourself into the game. Twitch Online membership is required for game chat past March 31st, 2026. When the open access period ends. Now again, I think this is another situation that's a bit weird where you have to pay for something so simple, and I hope that there is some backlash to this as well, because I'm not gonna lie, that's really stupid. The internal storage has been upgraded to 256GB from 32 in the original Switch, as well as improvements in the speed as well. There's also support for express microSD storage, which means you can't actually use your original Switch microSD cards with the new generation. Another big upgrade is the dock allowing 4K output, as well as a built-in fan to help cool the console whilst docked. The game cartridges have been recolored, so now they're red instead of black, with much faster data reading capabilities. It reminds me of when they made the 3DS cartridges white to differentiate them from the original DS ones. Also revealed was a new Pro controller priced at £75, with the new C button and back buttons. They've gone absolutely off the rails with these prices, and I really hope that eventually, I suppose they come down in price, because I don't want to pay £75 for a controller. I'm happy that we're going to be getting a lot of new hardware updates that can help differentiate from the last generation, whilst keeping a lot of the good features that the Switch had. The new custom Nvidia processor is for sure much more powerful than the one from the original, which is pretty much the main selling point to me. I don't think Nintendo needs the latest and greatest technology to create good games, as seen with titles on the last gen. The only real downside is once again linked to the pricing, because it's very similar pricing to a PS5, which is still probably a much beefier chip by far. It seems the UI for the console is going to be an updated version of the original, from the very little we've seen of it. You can see the first real look at the home screen after you go hunting through the Nintendo website to find it, which looks nearly the same as the Switch. You can see that it's slightly different. There's a few new symbols on like the bottom bar. I'm not actually sure what some of them are, like there's the game chat, but some of them are completely new, and I guess that in the coming months we're going to find out what they do. I was hoping for more of a refresh to the system so we get some more personality ingrained into it, yet there was still no mention of themes outside of the tab being visible in the system settings, so that is also still a possibility now that they don't have such limited hardware to work with. If you remember Download Play from the DS days, it's finally returning in a new form called GameShare, which works locally and over the internet with certain supported titles for the Switch and Switch 2. Now, the supported Switch 1 titles are going to be updated to feature this, it's not like they just work. GameCube is coming to the Switch Online, but only if you have the expansion pass tier. So far, the games at launch are The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, F-Zero GX, and Soul Calibur 2, with more games coming in the future. And this is exclusive to Switch 2, these ones won't be available on the original console. To help demonstrate some of the features of the new console, there is a Welcome Tour game purchasable digitally, which is pretty self-explanatory in what it does. There's a similarity with Astro's Playroom on the PS5, where you explore parts of the console and learn about how it works. But personally, I feel that this should be free and not paid because of how expensive everything else surrounding the console is. Another similarity to the PS5 is the Switch 2 Edition games that upgrade the original Switch games with new performance and graphical improvements, as well as even containing new exclusive content. Now we've seen that with the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S, where you have to get specific editions and upgrades of the games so you can get enhanced versions. And it's basically the exact same thing here. Unfortunately, again, these are confirmed to be paid upgrades through what they're calling upgrade packs. The only confirmed Switch 2 editions so far include Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Metroid Prime 4, and Pokemon Legends ZA. There's a whole section on the Nintendo website that goes into more detail about what each specific upgrade entails. Both of the Zelda titles are also included with the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pass as well, which is a bonus. There is a list of other games that are getting free updates to improve them for the console, that may entail performance improvements or other new features like GameShare. I'll put them all up on the screen for you now. I'm really glad the Gen 9 Pokemon games are getting some sort of performance update after they said they were going to improve them years ago. Since it's not a Switch 2 edition, I don't expect this to be anything major, probably just optimizations that will allow it to run at a higher resolution and frame rate. A whole host of existing and new third-party games were announced to be coming to the Switch 2, so give me a minute to read out a bunch of them. The full list is also available on the website. So, we've got Elden Ring Tarnished Edition, Hades 2, Street Fighter 6, Demon X Machina, Split Fiction, EA Sports FC, Madden NFL, Hogwarts Legacy, Pro Skater 3 and 4, Hitman, Project 007, Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster, Yakuza 0 Director's Cut, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, Deltarune Chapters 3 and 4, Borderlands 4, Civilization 7, WWE and NBA 2K, Survival Kids, Enter the Gungeon 2, Starseeker Astroneer Expeditions, Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition, Final Fantasy VII, and a whole bunch of other games. as well as maybe the most unexpected and surprising reveal, which was an exclusive, brand new multiplayer From Software game called The Duskbloods. I'm sure a lot of people were initially fooled by this, thinking it was Bloodborne 2. There's also a few third-party games that did mention that they were launching with a Switch 2 edition that weren't mentioned in the featured section earlier. That's a lot of games. Does this mean that the Switch 2 already has more games than the PS5? Alright, I'm joking, but that is a lot. As for first-party games, well, the whole presentation opened up with a look at the next evolution of Mario Kart, called Mario Kart World. Launching exclusively on the Switch 2 on launch day, and it will be the first Mario Kart game to feature an open world to drive around and explore. Some updates include pit stops and having to drive to the next tracks in Grand Prix mode. The new knockout mode also intrigued me. It looks like it's a marathon of continuous tracks where you have to be above the placement in the checkpoint or you'll get eliminated. There's a Mario Kart World Direct on April 17th, which will go into more depth about the game, so if you're interested, mark that date on your calendars. Oh, I forgot to mention, you can also play as a cow. This game is cinema. I'm sure Nintendo absolutely loves their racing games, as there's another one launching this year. We've got the sequel to Kirby Air Rider, which is called Kirby Air Riders, directed by Masahiro Sakurai, the creator of Kirby and Smash Bros. It's also his first directorial gig of a Kirby game since Kirby Air Ride in 2003. Finally, we had Donkey Kong Bonanza, the first brand new 3D platformer action game in the Donkey Kong series since Donkey Kong 64, a game released literally in the last century. This looks a lot of fun and full of chaos as you destroy the environment as you please to traverse around. He's got a cute new design that's seemingly based on the Mario movie, and I'm considering picking up this title later in the year. I'm honestly very surprised that we didn't get an announcement or any sort of reveal of a new 3D Mario game. However, I still expect to hear about one further down the line. It is entirely possible that the main Mario team created the Donkey Kong game, meaning that it could still be many years away until we see the next advancement for 3D Mario. That was probably my biggest disappointment from all the game announcements, as well as maybe not hearing anything about a new Smash Bros game on the way. But I guess Ultimate is still going to be playable on here, so that does kinda soften the blow a bit. I think all in all, it was a good presentation. It left me with lots of things to get excited about, apart from the obvious price hikes. I'm really disappointed to see the price of physical games has been set higher than digital ones. That combined with their digital game card system that they just introduced just screams out to me that they're really trying to justify the discontinuation of physical cartridges. I really thought that Rockstar were going to be the ones to set a dangerous precedent in the industry with the potential pricing of GTA 6. But it seems that Nintendo have made the first move in creating an even more expensive video game market. I kid you not, I'm probably mostly looking forward to the enhanced version of Pokemon Legends ZA releasing later this year. Visually, it looks just so much better than the gameplay from the Pokemon Presents a few weeks ago. Hopefully the Gen 9 games will be improved by the updates to them as well. And we also can't forget the next gen of games, probably releasing next year, will be the first Pokemon games developed solely for this new hardware. So given that the devs are allowed sufficient time to make the game, it should be far better than Scarlet and Violet were at launch. So, let us know in the comments what you made of the presentation. Are you going to be picking up a Switch 2? If you stuck through watching this far, thank you so much, and if you haven't already, be sure to go and check out our latest podcast episode, going over some of last month's film news. Hopefully soon we'll finally get to 400 subscribers and be on the way towards 500. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw here today, then maybe consider subscribing to catch our other content as and when it releases.